this is a temporary hiring and substitute freeze. So for a temporary period of time, as we go through our budget and we do a thorough reevaluation and have a better understanding of the way our library functions, this seems to be a decision we should be making at this time. Again, it's temporary. For the record, the library has a hiring freeze. Therefore, vacancies cannot be filled through hiring. However, we can consider cross-training, reassignment of duties, combining positions, and transferring staff as options to address this vacancy. At this time, I will call trustees individually to speak. Trustee Makula.
Well, in some of these instances, like in the maintenance department, we
Okay,
requested.
wait, this one, excuse me, is
Oh,
10A.
We're
It's
talking about
strictly for
digital.
digital services librarian. It's 10A, the document that you received in your board packet.
Right, okay. Yeah, I agree with you. We have a lot of people here in the library that have skills that could be cross-trained for digital services department for the service desk. Almost everybody here runs a computer and would be able to help patrons log on and use some of the equipment there.
Okay, if I could just comment that we are now only at 84 staff members. And so there really is not people that can leave their job to go and do someone else's job. So this is why I'm coming and asking you to fill the opening, right? So I have to come and ask you to agree to fill the opening by hiring from the outside. If it could be filled internally, I would have done that. But the point of coming here with these motions is because we need to hire from the outside. I would like to ask that all of the board members remember that we are talking about the staff. These are the people that work for you, the people that deliver the services. So I would like you to please remember that they are well-trained, very dedicated, and committed to their jobs, and to try to remember that when you're speaking about them.
For several months, we've heard of the shortages in that department. They are down over 80 hours a week, employee hours a week. Therefore, they have had to cut services. I'm sorry, I use that department, and I find that not just for myself, but for all the other people that use that department, I find it very sad that we're not willing to hire the staff they need to run that department efficiently.
Trustee Olson?
Yeah. I agree. It's very sad that you don't appreciate our members who work here at the library. If you look at the Illinois, you're always talking about according to the Illinois library standards and the Illinois section for libraries. IL 75 ICS 16/30-55 of the Illinois board claims that the board may appoint and fix the compensation of a qualified librarian to act as an administrator of the district's daily operations. That would be Cindy. The administrator may hire other employees deemed necessary by the administrator. Let me repeat, the administrator may hire other employees deemed necessary by the administrator, fix their compensation, subject to approval of the board. The idea is Cindy knows how to run this library.
So my request for information, Cindy, is denied. Is that what you're telling me? I can't get any information?
We
No,
say it's
no.
denied.
I
we're
say
not
that you
asking
need to be
for it.
very specific in the
cannot
information
hear
that you
her.
want. You need to be very specific in the information that you want.
Okay, I will be glad to,
No, we
Send you
don't
an
agree
email.
with it. You don't.
Excuse me.
We don't.
Carolyn, you have been asking for supposed information and saying you're going to be specific for 3 months.
okay, trustee Rosansky, it's not your turn to speak, but if you.
Thank you, trustee Derblick.
So
All right, at this
we'll providing the information.
Give me a better understanding
will
of
it-
what is going on in this department. I
But
have no
is-
idea
are
just
you-
reading these two sheets.
Well,
Are
go there
you-
and stand.
Well,
for
I
it.
gave you a lot more than 2 sheets.
Well, not for 10A.
So are you willing to consider lifting the hiring freeze?
Oh, no, we can't lift the hiring freeze.
So why would I give you more information?
Give her
Because we're
anything. If she's not willing to
we're
even
trying to
address
fill
raising the freeze,
vacancies
give her
from
nothing.
within.
Well, I'm telling you, we don't have staff to fill vacancies from within. So
Oh, I
you
guess
don't
that's
need
my- if that's your
information,
concern.
you don't need information to determine
To
that.
understand,
No, because you don't need information to understand that concept. There are not enough bodies to fill vacancies.
That this understaffing is not sustainable. Close attention, know that tonight's agenda is just the most recent example of several months of unethical behavior and wildly misplaced priorities. 3 trustees on this board have been asking for the hiring freeze to be on the agenda, and for good reason. By my count, the library has now lost over 20 employees since May. These include frontline staff and the director, the head of maintenance and security, and now the business manager. Many of these losses are a direct result of the draconian policies and decisions of this board. But no matter what the reason, properly staffing this library should be considered a top priority. It is fundamental to providing good service to the community, and in the case of the head of maintenance and security, fundamental to making the library a safe and clean space for all. Despite the obvious need to address this dire staffing shortage, despite the recommendation of the new director this board appointed with high praise, despite the continued requests from fellow trustees, the hiring freeze is not on tonight's agenda. Last month, we were told that it was, quote, a recommended agenda item, and we believed that maybe finally it would be there. But instead of addressing this fundamental board duty, I see instead the discussion of software the library has already purchased and which has already auto-renewed.
The board has refused to fill vacancies because of a self-imposed hiring freeze. Items are not being put on the agenda when it was agreed to at the previous board meeting.
This includes gaveling members of the public into silence because a board member feels disrespected. This includes promising board members that a given item will be on the agenda of the next meeting and then not putting it on the agenda. At the end of the November meeting, when several trustees asked for consideration of a hiring freeze be put on the December agenda, it wasn't. And by the way, it's not on tonight's agenda either.
At the board meeting 2 months ago, when trustees Rosansky, Olson, and Keene were, as they have many times now, were imploring trustee Derblick to put on the next agenda a discussion of lifting her hiring freeze. Ms. Derblick, I heard you say that you thought it was one of the recommended agenda items. How you can't know whether you're going to agree to discuss the ending of the hiring freeze yet or not makes me wonder who is telling you what to do. You ultimately didn't include the hiring freeze on that next agenda despite other trustees and library directors' requests. You still didn't include it on tonight's agenda either, as people have pointed out. So I wonder who you are getting your recommendations from. Your ongoing refusal to allow the director to recruit for and fill any vacant non-managerial positions is certainly not what the state librarian Jesse White's office would recommend. It's not what the Illinois Library Association or the American Library Association would recommend. No.
Thank you. Hello, can you hear me? Good evening. My name is Ron Villavolo. I'm State Senator for the 8th District, which includes 21 neighborhoods in the city of Chicago and 6 suburbs in Cook County, Lincolnwood, Skokie, Niles, Morton Grove, unincorporated Des Plaines, and Glenview. Thank you for the opportunity to speak before you today, and thank you all for being here and being a part of this process, including Deputy Majority Leader Murphy, who's here today as well. I'd like to read a letter that we've wrote as a group of elected officials to the board. Dear trustees, we feel strongly that our Niles-Maine District Library is a gem in our community. And as such, we want to protect library resources so it may thrive and continue to provide the valuable services to our community's residents. For that to happen, we strongly believe the board has a responsibility to ensure staffing and programming to remain at the levels our constituents expect and deserve. Already, with the hiring freeze that's in place and the attrition that has occurred, there is not sufficient staff to cover public-facing desks at all times. This is especially pronounced at the children's desk where demand is high, with technology classes that require significant planning and maintenance, which performs so many critical functions that are often invisible until staffing is such that they cannot all be done. Unfortunately, some programming has already been eliminated due to understaffing. Please lift the hiring freeze currently in place so that everyone who comes through the doors of our community's library continues to have a pleasant experience in a clean and amp and safe environment.
Such as the library's lack of enough staff to man the desk. I had a communication where a patron said there were several times they came and they couldn't get to the desk. Either there was no one there or the lines were so long. I personally have experienced this many times where there weren't people at the desk. This is unacceptable. We need to have people at the desk so people can go and get their questions answered. The temporary hiring freeze was supposed to be temporary until the budget was passed. And the budget was passed back in August. We need to hire the people that are budgeted for. This might also help the staff feel more appreciated and less stressed and less likely to leave. I am also tired of the excuses our president is giving of not getting enough information when she doesn't tell our director what she wants, except personal information about the staff, which is unacceptable.
On the agenda,
Was
please.
it hiring freeze and the trustee, right? Or did I miss something else?
No, just go.
Two,
for now.
right? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Oh, sorry, trustee Keene?
Yeah, it's tiring and frustrating to ask month after month for the same things to be on the agenda, only to have them ignored month after month. This is not what I would call collaboration. So for the record, I'm going to ask again to have the strategic plan on the agenda and the hiring freeze. Now you've had 3 trustees in a row ask you to put the hiring freeze on the agenda for next month. I hope to see it there.
I can't help. I can't help but find it hypocritical that you have finally included the strategic plan on the agenda after being asked to do so for months on end. But the plan that you included is just an extension of the one created in 2017. And the items that it highlights, customer service, which is hard to improve upon with the current hiring freeze.
Meanwhile, that we all heard multiple requests for it in multiple meetings from duly elected and appointed trustees, the hiring freeze is once again not on the agenda. Taking a look at the wisdom of continuing the hiring freeze 9 months later is not even being allowed discussion. I can only assume that you want your names associated with a strategic plan and a tax abatement, but you don't want your names associated with a hiring freeze that you know is damaging the community resource you swore to uphold. I'm not surprised you are having trouble hiring a facilities manager when you are refusing to give them the power to hire the staff they need. And LinkedIn tells me that you just lost another key member of the staff, which you probably don't even know about yet.
I'm here with some facts. For almost a year now, members of the public and library trustees have been asking you to end the hiring freeze that was imposed on our library by trustees Derblick, Schoenfeld, Makula, and ex-trustee Hanusiak. State-level elected officials have asked you to end the hiring freeze. We've heard the library director, administration, and staff to ask you to end the hiring freeze. The union representing the majority of the Niles-Maine Library staff has asked you to end the hiring freeze.
You have people that want to work here and want to be part of something special. And we'll go ahead and we'll just continue not to let those people be here. I have a trustee right now smirking while I'm saying this. Yet I remember a very good conversation I had with that exact trustee over at Oasis Pool on election day when we were handing out palm cards for somebody else, where his comment to me was he was actually going to limit the amount of people that were going to be working here, way before he was even elected.
Then there are simple steps to take. End this unnecessary and destructive hiring freeze and work together to appoint someone to the vacant seat. These actions are long, long overdue.
We cannot keep increasing pressure on the dedicated employees that remain. The library needs to address these staffing shortfalls so that they can properly serve the community. This is why I call on the board to reassess the spending priorities. Stop these ridiculous legal fees, dedicate the library to making positive impact. Thank you.
In case you didn't know, libraries are more than housing for books. It's where elderly can get help with technology. It's where a person can apply for jobs. It's where people can go to attend programs to learn to knit, to learn social media, and to exercise even. If people go here to research, teens come here for a safe space to be. Please lift this hiring freeze so our library can be the community that do these things, or resign and make way for someone else who actually cares.
I would like to also discuss hiring a team to help us set up a strategic plan and discuss lowering the hiring freeze. That needs to be on the agenda. I come in here and I have seen multiple times the desk short-staffed. And I read my emails and have heard and seen emails for months now concerned about the lack of staff at the desk. We need to address this. The desk people are mostly part-timers. Why we can't hire a few part-timers? We have a hiring freeze, which was supposed to be temporary. It's been almost a year. We need to have this on the agenda.
The three of you refuse to see the destruction you have caused the library and its past and current employees. I heard at the last meeting that employees are not able to take time off because of the staff shortage. Not granting requests for time off is unconscionable and, I believe, against the law. I hope one of the employees files a lawsuit with the National Labor Relations Board. Also, as stated in the Journal and Topics article, the employees are exhausted covering 2 or more positions. I believe you three should direct all your time and energy toward lifting the temporary definition, short period, not 12 months, hiring freeze that you implemented in May 2021. That freeze has seen 30% of the staff leave and not be replaced. You have created very unhealthy working conditions at the library. The employees cannot continue to be spread so thin before they break.
It's a library that's properly staffed. Seeing that this library is going in the opposite direction, I urge you to take the necessary steps to hire adequately to maintain the hours of operation here. And also to share a conversation that I had with a fellow neighbor in that I expressed to them that I take time to attend meetings like this because it hurts me to know that our community's library is degrading in the sense that the services are being reduced. So this particular neighbor is surprised that the trustees are not taking adequate efforts to be able to maintain the library services. So I wanted to share that with you because this person could not come here. They have child responsibilities, but I thought it was important that the board understand that decisions that are being made here have negative impacts on families that rely on these services. Thank you for your time.
I just want to conclude by saying that I sent an email last week to each of you. I heard from them. I didn't hear from you three, but I think it bears repeating in light of everything going on. Investing in public institutions like the library is an investment into the community. The rate of return is not reflected in property taxes, but in the raising of future readers, thinkers, and leaders. The marginalized feeling welcomed and given a chance, and an overall vibrant community. But instead, Carolyn, Joe, and Suzanne, it's as if you're managing a private business blindly focused on the bottom line to appease a shareholding minority instead of being stewards of the library in service of the community at large. Do the right thing, end quote. So I'll just repeat it again, do the right thing. And if you, honestly, it's been a year. It's been 1 year of this expletive, right? It warrants a step back and to reflect on everything that's happened. And if you're frustrated, imagine how the workers feel.
Bottom line, I love the library. I'd like to see it fully staffed and funded for my child and for all of the kiddos who live around here. So please do your duty, what you were elected for.
I would like to have the hiring freeze put on the agenda for next month.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Olson?
The same idea. I would like to see it, but this time I would like to see here right now if you agree with that or not. Ms. President, I'm talking to you.
Okay, the part of the board meeting. We
Yeah, are
need
you
keep
going
in
to
mind,
allow it?
We don't ask questions, okay? It's just if you want to make a comment, we'll move forward.
Even
Trustee
under
Queen?
other, I don't get to do this.
No. We follow the same board meeting procedures for all the agenda items.
Following up with the things that we asked to have on the agenda, as other trustees have just said, I wanted to say that I did ask our president twice in the last week or 10 days to put the following on today's agenda. I asked it to put on the agenda, lift the hiring freeze, hire Lauterbach and Amen for the audit, and to authorize the executive director to search for a firm to help us with a strategic plan. Her response via email was, these items have previously been discussed. So it seems that since we have talked about them already, they can't be put on the agenda again.
That's not true.
And that, I guess in her mind, that means we don't need to consider it anymore, but that's
I'll
not
send
how
her
the
the
rest of
rules
us
for
feel.